A visibly panicked Donald Trump effectively ran away from reporters when they kept asking him questions about the recent bombshell national security breach that happened on his watch, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, Donald Trump, as we speak, is convening some sort of meeting in the White House. I'm not sure it's a full cabinet meeting, but Michael Waltz, the national security advisor who was disgraced and implicated in this bombshell report by Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic, was also present. So this is really stunning stuff. And Trump was bombarded, understandably, with questions about this bombshell development. Again, that if the shoe had been on the other foot, Trump would be ranting and raving about. But I actually want to play this first clip. We're going to skip kind of to the end here, where Trump again gets visibly nervous and cuts off reporters asking about the question because he's so desperate to change the subject.
Decades.
Mr. President, who told you that information was not classified?
Another question.
Which of your national
Please,
security
go ahead.
advisors just following up on your comments?
So, of course, one of the recurring themes of the fallout of this bombshell story is this idea of, well, actually, none of this sensitive information about a military plan and military strikes against Houthi terrorists in Yemen, that's really not classified stuff. That's what the Trump administration is currently running with to compensate for this abject national security and information failure. So when Trump is asked, okay, well, who told you this information wasn't classified? Next question, stop talking about it, please stop talking about it. Pathetic stuff. So now we'll go to the beginning, in which Trump and Michael Waltz are desperate to do anything to I guess, deflect questions on this topic. And Michael Waltz, once we get to the clips, is really kissing Trump's ass, desperate as he is to keep his job.
Are you going to change any of the practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. These are people that shoot down ships, not only our ships, ships all over the world. They're shooting down right out of the water and damaging them badly, or they're going down. They're also shooting anything that happens to be flying in the area. We hit them very, very hard. There was no classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media.
It is an app, and again, it's not authorized for this sort of exchange of information. And again, had the shoe been on the other foot, Donald Trump would be furious if this had happened under the Biden administration, but instead it happened on his watch. You're not supposed to be using Signal for these sorts of communications. Now, I mentioned Mike Waltz, the former Republican congressman, the disgraced national security advisor, who repeatedly called for investigations and disciplinary actions to be taken not only against Hillary Clinton, but President Biden's former national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, for purported misuse of, private versus public, relays of information and classified information. This is Mike Waltz desperately trying to kiss Trump's ass to save his own. It's pathetic.
Otherwise, so look, this journalist, Mr. President, wants the world talking about more hoaxes and this kind of nonsense rather than the freedom that you're enabling. And a key part of our sovereignty is open sea lanes and knocking the crap out of terrorists, which is exactly what your team and Pete Hegseth, a good friend and fellow veteran, is leading the charge on. And it's an honor.
We had a very, very successful.
It's a hoax. It's a hoax, except even the White House National Security Council has verified the authenticity of the signal chain. So Mike Waltz is lying to your face. Donald Trump is probably, I don't know if Trump is too stupid or smart enough to recognize that Waltz is lying to him, but there are cameras on. So he's like, you're bringing freedom to the world, Mr. President. And these reporters who are reporting on this really stupid thing that I did, they're actually trying to take away from the freedom, from the fog of freedom that you're foaming the world with. It's so pathetic. Here's another clip.
The lesson is there's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about this president, whether it's the Russia hoax or making up lies about Gold Star families. And this one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with, and we are and we are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room. But I'll tell you what, the world owes President Trump a favor. Under Biden, global shipping was shut down. Pinprick attacks, months between them, our destroyers being fired upon dozens of times. President Trump took decisive action with his national security team.
Do you hear the panic in his voice, the stammering, the desperate, everything, deflect to Trump, 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 you're amazing. I mean, you know, you're so amazing, Trump. Words don't describe how amazing you are. Biden sucks. I mean, you guys remember Biden, how terrible Biden was? Donald Trump is really good. President Trump, thank you so much, Mr. President. Pathetic. So pathetic. Deserving all the scorn and condemnation you could possibly give. Here's another clip.
Criticize so strongly. He's a very good man, and he will continue to do a good job. In addition to him, we had very good people in that meeting, and those people have done a very, very effective job, and you're going to see it. And it goes on, by the way. It's going to go on. And I think the Houthis wish that it didn't happen, but that's what it's all about. We have to create a safe country, a safe world, and that's what we're doing.
Well, you're not doing that when you have the biggest, most dangerous, most embarrassing national security breach in modern American history, because your moronic, inexperienced national security team and top cabinet officials couldn't be bothered to actually put this information in its proper venue and its proper vector. I mean, it really is embarrassing stuff. The fact that the Houthi operation, the operation against the Houthis, wasn't compromised is testament to Jeffrey Goldberg's patriotism, not taking that information and using it for nefarious purposes. But again, that's sheer dumb cosmic luck. That's not by design or brilliance of Mike Waltz or Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or Pete Hegseth. That's just sheer cosmic accident that they, as bad as they screwed up, as incompetent as they are, it could have been even worse. Here's another clip.
People do get on those lines, whether it's signal or anything else, yeah.
So are you going to change any procedures as a result of this?
Well, I mean, look, we look at everything, and, you know, they've made a big deal out of this because we've had 2 perfect months. We are bringing in business. We have another one announced tomorrow, a big one, very big. Like in the history of our country, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I think probably a lot of people are saying they started by saying it was the greatest first month that a president has ever had, and I think that's true. And now they say it's the best second month, and they had to find something. And this certainly will look at this, but the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. It was, I guess, from what I understand, took place during, and it wasn't classified information. So this was not classified.
Who said it wasn't classified information? Again, when he's asked that question, he ducks and desperately tries to change the topic, right? Sure sounds like classified information. And even if it isn't strictly classified, as a reminder, there's some declassified information which are still sensitive and that are non-disclosable to the public. So even if Donald Trump had objective proof that Hegseth and Waltz and all the others were discussing non-classified information, it still doesn't land them in the clear on this. It really doesn't. And again, if the shoe was on the other foot, we'd know just how upset people would be about this. Certainly Republicans, they don't care because it's Trump and they're desperate to gloss this over. But by the way, who says it was the perfect first month of a presidency? Who said it was the perfect second month of the presidency? It was the shortest presidential honeymoon we've ever seen. Trump's polling is underwater on this. He's failing even with regards to the economy in terms of public polling. So it sure seems like a disaster so far. Here's another clip.
The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag, so maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know.
But you are going to conduct
Would
an
it be a
investigation.
problem if
Mr.
the
President.
Atlantic released all the text messages if they're not classified?
Well, I don't know. I'd have to ask the military about that because, maybe you wouldn't want that. I don't know. I will say this, that from what I heard, the man that we're talking about, who's not somebody that I don't think most people have ever heard of, he found it very boring and he left early. He got off the line very early. So I can't speak to it other than that. So he's made up a lot of stories, and I think he's basically bad for the country. But it's a failing venture, very failing venture. They're very upset. And a thing like this is publicity for them.
And you're making it worse right now. You're going pure on offense mode. This is the Roy Cohn strategy of deflections from Donald Trump. Never take responsibility, never apologize, nothing like that. Try to deflect, try to attack. It's not going to work. And it'd be dereliction of duty on the Democrats' fault if they let this go. I hope they won't. But here's Mike Waltz again, the disgraced national security advisor, once again trying to kiss Trump's ass to save his own.
Very exciting. But I think it's something you should look into.
Yes, sir, we are. We have our technical experts looking at it. We have our legal teams looking at it. And of course, we're going to keep everything as secure as possible. No one in your national security team would ever put anyone in danger. And as you've said, and we've repeatedly said, the attack was phenomenal and it's ongoing. But the media wants to talk about everything else except for the hostages you're getting out of the Middle East, Iran on its back foot, sea lanes getting reopened, peace in Europe. As we just saw today with a Black Sea ceasefire, we were just on with Steve Witkoff, myself, our team in Saudi Arabia. They want to talk about all this other stuff except for your amazing successes and the successes of your team.
This is the ass kicking is truly exceptional. I mean, listen, it really is. It's an indictment of this administration and a proof of the mafia environment that is the Trump administration. Michael Waltz used to be somewhat respected, I think, by both sides of the aisle as a serious candidate for this particular position, but he's already demonstrated his incompetence already. I mean, just an unprecedented national security breach that had the shoe been on the other foot, Michael Waltz would be among the first to call for the resignation or firing of a Democratic official in his place who was guilty of the same thing. It's really pathetic stuff, really transparent stuff. You see Trump holding court here, but taking the effuse praise. Basically, you could almost see it like, listen, I'm not going to fire you in this instance, Mike, but you better kiss my ass even more anytime a camera's on. And like a sweating, visibly nervous Mike Waltz is doing everything in his power to puff Trump up. It's truly pathetic stuff. But again, even Donald Trump, after a while, is just all out of bullshit answers. And so when somebody asks him another pressing question, he's desperate to change the topic and run away. Classic Trump. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.